Good afternoon to all our listeners and welcome to Talking Business with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB. I am Tracy Marshall, President of ICAB. Let me start today's episode with a new guidance note released this week by the Barbados Revenue Authority, also referred to as the BRA. Guidance Note 8 of 2025 is titled Eligibility Criteria for 5.5% Tax Rate and Prepayment Obligations. Based on this most recent guidance note, a company may now qualify for a 5.5% tax rate on its taxable income earned after January 1, 2024 if it meets all of the following conditions. 1. The company has gross income of no more than 2 million Barbados dollars. 2. The company has paid up capital of no more than 1 million Barbados dollars. 3. The company has no more than 25 employees. 4. At least 75% of the shares of the company are beneficially owned by a resident of Barbados. And finally, 5. Where the company is a member of a group, all members of the group must meet criteria 1, 2, 4. These criteria are similar to the criteria for eligibility as an approved small business, as we represented in an earlier episode last month, but not quite the same. Now, as per the guidance note, companies that meet the previously mentioned criteria do not qualify for the tax rate of 5.5% if they are holders of a foreign currency permit, companies whose primary purpose is the holding of shares in other companies or real estate, and finally, companies that have received tax concessions or exemptions under any other enactment. There is one exemption, however, to the companies that receive concessions that are allowed to use the 5.5% tax rate, and that is for companies that are approved small businesses under the Small Business Development Act. ICAB is pleased to inform listeners that companies that meet the criteria, as per the guidance note, will, in addition to the tax rate of 5.5%, make prepayments twice a year and not monthly prepayments. The prepayments are filed and can be paid online using the Tax Administration Management Information System, also known as TAMIS. In short, there is no change in how the companies which now meet these new criteria settle their tax liabilities. Based on the guidance note, it can be inferred that a company now does not need to apply as an approved small business under the Small Business Development Act to have the benefit of a lower tax rate of 5.5%. ICAB is pleased that this change has been allowed by the government and congratulates the Ministry of Energy and Business, the BRA, and especially the Small Business Association for its advocacy in this area. The guidance note, however, is currently contradicting existing legislation. Therefore, clarity should be provided timely by the Ministry of Finance. As the arm of government responsible for fiscal policy and, by extension, tax policy, attention should be given to when amendments to the legislation will be proposed and subsequently enacted. Some ICAB members are also seeking clarity with regards to one of the companies exempted from the 5.5% tax rate. That is, companies whose primary purpose is the holding of real estate. For example, is the tax rate on rental income earned by a company that holds a residential property intended to be 5.5%, or is it 9%? The timing of the guidance note is extremely unfortunate for some small business companies which have complied with the requirements of the existing legislation and have to date made corporation tax prepayments for income year 2025 at a tax rate of 9%. Those prepayments were submitted using the temporary portal globalrelations@bra.gov.bb and not TAMIS, as permitted under this new guidance note. However, these entities will now file their 2025 tax return in March of 2026, and in addition to the manual transfer of the prepayments from the temporary portal to TAMIS, will have to wait for more than a year for the assessment of the tax return and acknowledgement of the refund based on the lower tax rate. If history is any indicator, then the payment of the refund will also not be made shortly after the assessment. As we previously noted, ICAB is appreciative that government has actioned the cries of the Small Business Association and ICAB as it relates to how the monthly prepayments would have impacted small businesses. The guidance note is welcomed, but the note has little weight without the relevant legislation. Therefore, we look forward to receiving more information from the authorities on this matter. I am Tracy Marshall, and this has been Talking Business with ICAB.